Of course, to AsiaPOP Comicon 2016. We're here at SMX, specifically at the Green Room. My name is Hoult. I'm your host for today. How is everyone doing? Great. Are you excited for our celebrity guest? Right? Come on. Again, are you excited for our celebrity guest? Yes, right? I want him to hear you guys, say that you really, really want to see him. So we're going to introduce him in just a short while. But, just to give you a quick background about AsiaPOP Comicon, we are on our second year, and, it is a weekend full of, film, comics, toys, collectibles, cosplay, and just, the entire pop culture convention that we're having here. It is an international pop culture convention. We're very happy to have you all here, and we want you, of course, to get your geek on, and we just want you to experience awesomeness here by, of course, checking out everything that the AsiaPOP Comicon 2016 has to offer. Like we said, you can check out the toys, collectibles, you can jam with the music. There's so much to see, artwork as well. And we've also included everything in terms of pop culture. So not only that, today and tomorrow, we also have fashion, beauty, and so much more. But to be able to also experience an even more epic experience here, we also have with us our celebrity guests. And of course, we have none other than a Hollywood celebrity joining us today. Now, before I introduce him, just a couple reminders. We would like for everybody to please settle down, so we prefer if you could use the seats or the benches that are here for you. So we would really appreciate for you to settle down. And then, because of the time constraint, we also are giving you one question per media outfit. So we really hope that you could help us stick to that. Like we said, we only have a few minutes of his time. Aside from that, we're going to be calling each, of course, media outfit. Prepare that question. Use that time wisely. Get a good question in, okay? And we'll do our best to be able to accommodate all. But like we said, we have a specific time allowed. So we'll do our best to fit in each question from each media outfit. Got it? Pretty clear, right? Okay, so a bit of an intro for him before we get him out here. Again, if everybody could settle down first. We really were asked if our guests could take their seats. And then, yeah. Well, hopefully, there, it is happening, it is happening. Thank you. I'm just the messenger of the instructions, sorry. Okay, so the intro about him. He recently finished shooting writer-director Danny Strong's directorial debut, Rebel in the Rye, in which he stars as J.D. Salinger. The film follows the Catcher in the Rye writer from his early days, trying to establish his career in New York's literacy circle in the early 1940s. Nick can currently be seen reprising his role as Hank, aka Beast in X-Men, Apocalypse for Bryan Singer and Fox, and in Jake Doremus' film Equals, a futuristic drama written by Nathan Parker alongside Kristen Stewart, which premiered at the Venice Film Festival and will be distributed by A24. As well as British independent film directed by Owen Harris, Kill Your Friends, based on the novel by the same name by John Niven about A&R rep on a murder spree in 90s London. Wow, almost everybody's seated. Thank you so much. Now, Nick will be next seen in Sandcastle for director Fernando Coimbra, in which he portrays an American soldier on a mission to help a village at the end of the war in Iraq. Nick earned rave reviews for his incredible performance as Nuts in the critically acclaimed Mad Max Fury Road from director George Miller for Warner Brothers. If we could please give a warm Manila welcome to our Hollywood celebrity, Nicholas Hoult. Great, great. Okay, have a seat. Oh, which way? Is that okay? Yeah. Let's switch seats then. I think they'd rather see our left side. No. No. Okay. Yes. No. Okay. Well, this is it. Yes or no? Half and half. They want to get a better angle of you.
Thank you. Hello.
Nicholas, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you all for coming along.
Doesn't he look great?
Stop it.
No, really. Are you blushing now? So is it your first time in Manila?
It is, yeah, my first time in the Philippines, and loving it. It's been such a wonderful experience so far. Everyone's been really welcoming. We've got to explore Manila a little bit yesterday. I'm going to stay a little while after the convention as well to see more of the country.
Great. Okay. And yeah, so I guess it's time to get the questions going. Let's get this started. So let's start off by calling from PEP-PH, Jocelyn Dimakulangan. Jocelyn? I'm sure you're here. And there is a mic that's supposed to be right there in the center. If you can make your way, despite the cameras being there. Oh, you can just ask? Okay. Or what we're trying to do is just get it free so that the mic could be passed around. So we'll just wait for that question.
Is this one?
He touched it. I know, it's sweet, right? He touched it, that means it's like he touched you already.
Yes. I'd like to ask, what parts of Manila did you travel to? What were your thoughts? And how do you bond off camera with your ex-friend co-stars?
Yesterday we went to visit a memorial in Brazil. We walked all around the gardens there. We went to a couple of bars last night. The weather's been a little bit stormy, so stayed in a little bit. Yeah, we kind of just walked around the streets. We went to see some of the old churches and some of the old town yesterday. That's been good so far. We're going to stay, as I say, longer and see more. And then ex-training co-stars? Is that the next part of the question?
Yes, off cam.
What are they like?
How do you bond off cam? How do you bond off cam? What's the mic?
Like what activities do they do together? What activities do you do together off camera with a
Off camera, we do a lot of go-karting. And we also all bought, BB guns? We all bought BB guns and would play fight with those behind the scenes. And then it's a really tight bunch. We're all really close friends. So we hang out a lot. It's kind of like going back to school or back to family after the summer holidays each time. We have a really great time. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is from Interaction, Chad De Guzman.
Hey Nick, so recently Daily Mail published an article which showed that you look like an Australian swimmer, Kyle Chalmers, and Twitter exploded with that. So that's one question. How do you react to looking like an Olympic swimmer? And then the second one is, if ever there was a biopic made for this swimmer, would you gladly do, or would you gladly take part?
I saw the reference you're making. Firstly, I can't swim that well, so I was really impressed that I managed to win a medal in the Olympics without training. I'd like to thank my coaches and the Australian swim team for getting me this far. But yeah, if there was a biopic about his life, I don't really know much about him. If there was a biopic about his life that was an interesting story, then I'd get in the pool and start practicing with my armbands on and try and prepare well enough for that. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chad. Next we have from GMA News Online, Rai Takumi.
Hi. Yeah, so from About a Boy to Weatherman and your other biopics, your filmography tends to be a bit more speculative fiction and pop culture, like your film with Kristen Stewart and R, and your role as R. So is that a conscious decision to take on unusual roles and you said something about not being a good swimmer. So how was that seen in A Single Man? Like, how did that play out?
So yeah, the scene in A Single Man, we actually had a big tank up on the beach in Malibu, and Colin and I would take turns jumping into the tank and then filming us and running into the ocean. It was actually very liberating to film that. It's kind of quite a familiar thing in film, like people breaking loose and running into the ocean, but it was a very freeing feeling. And then, in terms of trying to do varied roles and work, that's the main aim for me. I think outside of trying to work with good people and tell good stories, as much varied characters and styles of films and stories as I can play, then that's what the main aim is. Because, you know, I would get bored if I did the same thing and repeated myself, and I think anyone that went to watch a film that I was in, if I just did the same thing over and over again, they'd find that boring as well. So as much as you can transform physically and emotionally for whatever it is, then that makes a big difference. Thank you for your question.
From Film Star Online, Matthew Olivares.
What's up?
So you're playing J.D. Salinger for A Rebel in the Rye, is that correct? Why is it entitled Rebel in the Rye, and what processes did you go through to prepare for the role, since J.D. Salinger is described to be very reclusive?
Well, the film's called Rebel in the Rye. Obviously, it's a play on the title of his most famous novel, Catcher in the Rye. But also, he was a very rebellious character in his youth. He got kicked out of quite a few schools. His writing was very much against the phoniness of the world that he saw around him, and that's what lit the fire within him for him to go out and write what he felt were truthful, honest depictions of the world and characters that he saw around him. So that's why it's called Rebel in the Rye. And in terms of preparation, it's difficult because there's no videos or audio of him that exist that we could find. So there's a lot of reading biographies about him, reading his novels alongside those biographies, and because a lot of his work is quite autobiographical, his writing, even though they're fictional characters that he writes about, they kind of stem back to his life. And then basing decisions on how to play him around that. Luckily, Danny Strong, the writer, wrote a brilliant script that's very tight and had wonderful actors to work with, so that obviously makes it a lot easier. Aside from that, on like an emotional level, I would like sit at home on a typewriter writing stories, just to try and understand what that felt like as well. Thank you.
Now from Otta Cultura, Mara Kabatbat.
So, hi, Sir Nick.
Hey.
So, you've received critical acclaim for your role in About the Boy. Ever since that role, what kind of learning process did you take in order to improve your acting craft for the subsequent movies up to the present?
Since About a Boy, in terms of improving the acting craft, I think it's mainly about the people I've been fortunate enough to work with. So each role, stems a different challenge, and there's no set method that I've developed. It varies each time, but essentially it's just a lot about preparation and research and learning as much as you can before turning up on set. And then being adaptable once you get there, depending on how the director wants to work or the other actors around you. So there's no specific things I've learned. I've just tried to take a little bit away from each job and then use that in the next one. You know, that's the wonderful thing about acting, is you're always learning, and then also the roles gradually as you get older become more and more interesting and fascinating, and then through having hopefully lots of experiences in life, then you can draw from those and put those into the roles.
Thank you. Now we move on to CNN Philippines, Lara Tan.
So you play Ghost in X. Did you read a lot of comics to prepare for your role? And if you did, which one was your favorite?
if you prepared for the roles by reading comics. Is that
Yeah.
right? A lot of comics.
And which one was your favorite?
Which one was your favorite?
Which was my favorite X-Men comic?
Yeah, and did you read a lot of, like, which titles did you read to prepare for your roles?
Oh, I liked reading about First Class comics and also the Dark Beast comics. I enjoyed a lot as well. I enjoyed the darker side of that character. Yeah, in terms of preparing for X-Men, obviously it was quite last minute. My casting in that originally was when we were meant to be shooting Mad Max. So I was in Australia and then Mad Max got delayed. So I called my agents and I said, I need a job. And they said audition for X-Men quick. They were interested in you, so I put a tape down, and the next day was flying to London to audition, and then back to Australia straight away. And then before I knew it, I had a job and was on set. So in terms of preparation, there's obviously physical training for playing superheroes. Not that I could quite achieve the desired effects that they need. They have to give me a muscle suit, obviously. And then, yeah, read a load of comics because he has quite a distinct way of speaking. He's a very eloquent and intelligent man, and obviously is very, very smart in the sciences as well. So it's all about reading the comics, trying to gain what you can from that, and then in terms of movement as well, and his relationships to the other characters, that's something that I've really enjoyed developing through the films, is Hank's relationship with Xavier. Because James and I are really good friends outside of filming, and I think that's something that we've been able to develop through the movies as well.
Thank you so much from Ozine. Ozine, is that right? Ozine. Ozine Brian Uy. Is Brian here? Doesn't seem like he's here, or is he? Is somebody making his way over to the mic? Can you raise your hand? No. Let's move on to the next question from Mix, Sunny Kim.
Hi, I'm Sunny from Mix, the number one music channel in the Philippines. Can I go closer? You don't need your mic. Yay! Okay, can I? Okay.
Oh no, that means everybody else will.
Yeah, I just stand up. Okay. It's okay. Okay, among the different movies you've starred, okay, fine, I'm sorry, okay, among all the different movies you've starred in and the different roles you've played, which one was your favorite?
They all vary. I have favourites for lots of different reasons. I really loved playing J.D. Salinger because I loved reading his work and learning about his life. It was something I didn't know much about his personal life before that, so learning about that was fantastic. The role in Mad Max was a favourite of mine because it was very big and wild, and I got to really invest in that and give a strange performance, I think. And then outside of that, I really enjoyed working on A Single Man, the X-Men movies. I don't know, I love lots of different films for different reasons. Equals was a great experience working with Kristen and Drake Doremus because their methods were something I hadn't experienced before, lots of improvisation, and we became a really close-knit group. So lots of different reasons for different things.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Now we move on to from Fanboy Sale, is that right? Earl Manga. Earl.
So,
So, I'm just gonna have this one start. Okay, so you've been casted as the Beast, but let's just say that you've been casted for another role. Pick your favorite one from these three. Magneto, Professor X, or Wolverine.
oh, that's tough.
Sorry for that one. I know it's tough.
I know, yeah. You know what? If I had to choose between those, the thing is, because I know all those guys and they all do such wonderful jobs in each role. I think I'd probably go Magneto. Yeah. Is that unexpected? Not. I love what Fassbender does with it, and I think that's what makes me drawn to it. I don't think I'd ever be musty enough to play Wolverine.
Just a small follow-up. What do you think would be your best characteristic to play as Magneto? your best moves to play as Magneto.
The best moves?
Yeah, what makes you ahead of them? Just in terms, if you've been casted as Magneto.
I think for him it's a lot about the stillness and the depth within the hurt which is his power. That's what he harnesses. And you know, as seen in the films with Xavier and himself, him trying to actually find peace and calmness makes him more powerful. And it's more tricky to use that instead.
Thank you, Earl. Now from Philippine Star, we've got Phoebe Marquez.
Hi, Nicholas. I saw in your Instagram that you play Pokemon Go. How is that going? And then another question is, if you could be included in another pop culture franchise, which is not X-Men or Mad Max Fury, what would it be?
Okay, Pokemon is going terribly.
What level are you at?
I'm level 13. It's not very good, I know.
Okay.
Oh, I'm Team Mystic. It's like, wait, no. Team Mystic, level 13, not very good at all. So I've kind of fallen off playing a little bit recently. I found it difficult to find new Pokemon since the update. There's lots here?
Yes, there are. Okay, end of interview, thank you.
Thank you. And then pop culture outside of Mad Max and X-Men, what would I like to be involved with? Oh, that's tricky. What are the options? Are there any options?
Star Wars or Marvel, DC.
Yeah, I think Star Wars. Yeah.
Okay. Now, from ABS-CBN Online, we got Sheila Reyes. Right over there, at the back.
How do you feel about Hugh Jackman leaving the X-Men franchise after playing Wolverine for over 10 years?
I'm very. It's sad, you know. I grew up with him playing Wolverine. I think the first film I saw him in was when I was 11 years old, and it was a very surreal moment for me when we were on set, and I would look across and I would see Hugh Jackman and Wolverine across from me. That was like, it filled me with a very strange feeling from my childhood, but also immense amount of pride and awe of him. He's also such a wonderful guy, and I really like cracking sense of humour. We had a lot of fun working together. So I miss the fact that we won't get to do more movies and develop that. But I'm also just like thankful for all the wonderful work he's done through the franchise. I think he's just been phenomenal in that role, and I feel very fortunate to have been around it. I've also been able to like be a fan and see him bring it to life so brilliantly.
Now we move on to ABS-CBN News TV, Ginger Conejero.
Hi, welcome to Manila today. A couple of things, just because, is it a coincidence that you're on level 13 and on Team Mystic, or is that something that you actually, is that by choice, or is that a coincidence, the name of the team that you joined?
Oh no, I like the colour blue. I didn't know much about the team.
No other reason. All right, can I get into my real question? Actually, you mentioned earlier you got a chance to go around Manila. Can you maybe expand on your impressions of Manila and the Philippines in that short amount of time? And yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, the first impressions were I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how vast Manila was. I didn't realise flying in you get a sense of how big the city is. So that was impressive. I didn't know how humid it was going to be. I didn't know how extreme your traffic was. So those are all things that I was warned of and then got to experience, which was great. I haven't managed to eat too much of the food yet. What's the egg thing? Well, yeah, I've been told to try that.
Yes.
I haven't yet.
Are you ready to try it?
I don't know. I don't know. Everyone says it's an aphrodisiac, but I saw pictures of it.
That's a good thing, right?
And it looks a little bit disgusting.
You're not supposed to look at it. You're just supposed
Just close
to,
your eyes?
yes.
If I
Look
build
away and just, put it in your mouth and enjoy.
I'll see. If I build up the courage, then I'll try that. But I just enjoyed walking around the city yesterday. We also took, I forgot the technical name, but when you have the horse and carriage? Yeah, we rode on one of those yesterday, myself and Joe. So we're having a really great trip and getting to see a lot of the city, and then we're going to go around a couple of the islands as well.
Can we ask where? General vicinity?
Philippines?
One of the 7,100 islands. Just one of those. Okay. So now we move on to business world.
Side note, I'm really glad that basketball is such a big sport here.
Oh, really? What?
Yeah, I went to buy one of the jerseys yesterday of the Filipino basketball team. So
I'm sorry, Nick, can you repeat that? You're a big fan that...
I'm a big basketball fan. I didn't realize that was such a big sport
It's
here.
huge.
Yeah,
It's
so I'm
huge.
really glad, and I went and bought a Filipino jersey.
Was there a name on the back of the
It was
Philippine jersey?
it's somebody junior. Number 3.
Number 3. Okay,
Anybody knows that?
So it's
Google.
Filipinas jersey, and it's got
national team,
number
yeah.
3.
Number 3, somebody junior.
Gabe? No, okay.
They said he was a cool guy in the store.
We'll look that up. Let me know if you want to go to a basketball game. We can hook you up while you're here.
Thank you very much.
It is e-sport here.
I've grown up. So.
Oh, well, you have the hype. Even if we don't, we still love it. Okay, let's move on to business world. Cam Arcelia. Cam is over there.
Number 3. Sino ba number 3 sa Gilas? Si Alapag, di ba?
Hi.
Si Alapag lang ang alam ko eh.
We're here at Comicon and fans are going here to meet fans or to worship their own fandom. But just a curious question. Is there something that you're a fanboy of?
Is there something I'm a fanboy of? You know what I'm a fanboy of is I've been watching a load of Stranger Things.
Have you met her?
I haven't met her yet, but she gave such a wonderful performance in that. I'm kind of fanboying over meeting her, so I'm looking forward to that, and I think I'll be in the line waiting for her autograph as well, because she's fantastic in that show, and I loved watching that. So yeah, that's what I've been geeking out over recently.
Perfect that she's here as well.
I know, I couldn't believe it.
As luck would have it. So, from Chicken Pork Adobo, we have Dominic Dimagmanio.
Hi, I'm Dominic Pinoy from YouTube, and I'm a Marvel action figure reviewer. I just want to ask, how do you see the franchise of X-Men moving forward, and from how they ended during the last movie? So, what do you see? What do you say about the franchise moving forward?
Yeah, it's kind of difficult for me to say at the moment. Obviously, they will keep making movies. Whether I will be involved, I'm not too sure.
Hopefully, you have a really big role, which is Beast.
Yeah, no, I love playing that role, so we'll wait and see. That's very cool that you're a Marvel
Action figure.
Yeah, that's great.
A follow-up question. So, if ever you get the chance to play Beast, what arc of X-Men or what story arc of X-Men are you interested in playing?
As I said earlier, like Dark Beast is something that I'd really like to see develop a little bit. I think that would be really interesting. I mean, Simon Kinberg is always a fantastic writer, and as you can tell from the kind of the end of the last movie, I think in theory the way that they would go forward is they now have assembled the X-Men team, and then I guess you'd see where it goes from there. Thank you.
Danielle Benito from K-Zone.
This is a major science. Do you geek out over sports or other pop culture things? And my second question is, what do you enjoy doing in between filming?
What do you enjoy doing in between filming?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Okay, so yeah, I geek out over loads of things. I geek out over pop culture, TV shows, films, music. I try and listen to a lot of music. And then there was a great band last night that went to Spicy Fingers. You know this bar? There was a great band there last night. And then what else? Books. I love reading. So then outside of those things, science actually geek out. I went to the planetarium recently, back in London. That's great. Like, I'm trying to learn more about the universe and expand on that. What was the second part of your question?
What do you enjoy doing in between filming?
In between filming, I like racing motorbikes, boxing, reading, hanging with friends, traveling, eating.
Is there any specific food type you like?
Any specific type of food? I like Mediterranean food. I went to Italy recently, and I love the food there. But the food here has been delicious as well so far. I'm kind of all over the place. Mexican, I don't know, I eat everything. Thanks.
So that's why it's time to have balut. If you eat everything. Okay, moving on to Gis. Colleen Maceren or Maceren?
Oh, okay. Hi. I'm reading her okay. I just wanted to ask, what you were talking about is writing a story. What story would you write?
What story would I write?
Yeah.
Well, the stories I was writing then, I mean, I wasn't trying to imitate the style of J.D. Salinger, but I was trying to see things that he would find interesting to write about. Obviously, a lot of his stories center around young people, so in that sort of ballpark. Outside of that, if I was writing, I would like to write adventure stories, kind of, you know, I mean, obviously this Lord of the Rings and things like that, I mean, not that I would ever be capable of doing that. That's not something you just rustle out on a Sunday afternoon, but stories like that, or science fiction and those sorts of stories.
Okay, that's really cool. And last one, how was it having a skins reunion with Joe? Skins reunion with Joe.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
all the cast of Skins are basically like my best friends. We all grew up together doing the show. And so yeah, to get the chance to come here with him and explore the city and the country a little bit is fantastic.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
From Ungeek, we have Robert Yatko.
Hey, nice to meet you. Just a quick question. Over the people that you've worked with, can you tell us about a time that you bonded with someone over something that is about geekery? Someone that you got to know better because of they share the same passions as you, or the same they play Pokemon or comics too as well.
Friendship with the same thing. I mean, that would go back to in terms of like the X-Men cast. James, Michael, myself, all love riding motorbikes and go-karting and racing. So that's something that we all really bond over, like in terms of going to the track, renting bikes, and like getting along to Grand Prix races and things like that. So that's a big one. Also, like James and I play football together on a Saturday, so that as well.
Now we have Rick Olivares from Rappler.
Hi Nicholas, welcome to Manila. Before I ask my first question, what's your favorite football team?
What's my favorite football team?
Yeah.
I grew up near Reading, so Reading would be my local team. Yeah.
Okay. My real question is actually, what's it like for you personally to be working on such pop culture-centric franchises such as Mad Max and X-Men? You know, these are some of the most beloved franchises in the world in pop culture. How do you feel about getting some plum roles in those franchises?
Thank you. Yeah, I feel very fortunate. Partly because the roles are great characters to play, and then they're great directors and filmmakers. You know, the crews on those movies are incredible. Like for instance, the stunt team on Mad Max, for them to be able to go out to the Namibian desert, have 700 people, hundreds of vehicles, and to be sat in amongst that hot rod when all the engines fire up, you know, you get chills, and then you see you're hanging underneath trucks, people are shooting at you, things are blowing up, there's fire, there's noise, there's the smell of petrol. It's a really intoxicating atmosphere to be in. So you know, the scale of those movies is incredible. And then the fact that people really enjoy them and enjoy the characters and the things you bring to life, that's I feel very lucky and very proud to be able to be a part of it. And yeah, thank you.
So unfortunately, we're going to be calling on one more media outfit for our last question from GMA 7, Nelson Canlas.
Hi. Hey. I'm sorry I just got in, but I just wanted, this is your first time in Manila, right? So how do you find the place, and is there any itinerary that you're going to follow, like on a personal level?
On a personal level, yeah, we had yesterday free, so we went around the city. After we finish with this, we're going to go and travel to some of the islands. Aside from that, any suggestions anyone has? Yeah, we're going to go to the beaches. We're going to get a boat, take a couple of days off, and chill on the beaches. What was the other part of the question? I love it here. Everyone's been wonderful so far. Really friendly. The food's been great. I love it. It's a great culture. From what I've experienced so far, we've had a wonderful time, and I'm just happy that we get to spend more time here, and I have time to actually, after we finish this, to go and explore more. I've eaten quite a lot of it, yeah. As we were saying earlier, the duck egg is the only thing I haven't tried so far, which I'm building up to, and everyone's encouraging me to try. So.
Good luck. We actually have, Nick, we actually have time for a couple more questions, if that's okay.
I thought you were going to say we actually have one of the eggs here.
Yeah! Well, that's the surprise. Hold on. It's right behind me over here. Be prepared. That's how we're ending our media session today. So let's move on to Easy Rock from Kim Garcia.
I just want to know, are you willing to try real life roles? Because most of your roles, you always have prosthetics. So I just want to know, are you interested to star in rom-com films? Romantic comedy films? Because as fans, we are very curious and very excited if you're going to try out rom-com films.
I think the closest I've been to a rom-com was probably Warm Bodies.
Yeah. But
we call that like a rom-com.
Rom-com.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I like putting a twist on something or trying to do something different. And as I was saying, like being able to transform with makeup and your appearance is important for bringing any character to life. So whether I would do more rom-coms, I don't know. If there's a good script, I find very fun. I mean, growing up, some of my favourite films were Notting Hill and Four Weddings and a Funeral and things like that. Bridget Jones, like, those are great romantic comedies. So if one came along that I thought was right for me, then yeah, I'll definitely give it a go because it's something that I haven't fully done, I guess.
Yeah, that's why we're waiting for it. We're looking forward to you doing something like that maybe in the future.
Okay, thank you. I'll see what I can find for you.
From the Daily Tribune, Malu Rosal.
Hello.
Okay, we're talking about characters that you play. We have been talking about characters that you play. You've been playing real people, mythical figures, fairy tale creatures, everything else. Is there any particular role that you haven't played that you really want to play?
I haven't been in a Western movie. Yeah, I would like to do like a horse on horseback, blazing saddles, Dirty Dozen kind of thing like that. I think I'd like to do that at some point. Although, why? you know, it's a classic form of storytelling in terms of Western cinema. So I think it's also something that recently hasn't been at the forefront of storytelling. So I think I'd like to give that a try. Obviously, the Magnificent Seven's coming out soon, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. I think that's the genre that I'd like to play in. The tone of it, I'm not sure, or like a Quentin Tarantino movie or something like that. You know, that would be amazing. Or a gangster movie. I love like Goodfellas and things like that. Can I speak that way? What, like a gangster accent? Oh yeah, it's wonderful. It's really great. I can. No, it's perfect. I don't know. Thank you, darling.
Now we have Vinny from Inquirer.
Hi, Nicholas. So my question is, what role can you personally connect with? And other side, like the opposite of that, which role was totally different from your personality?
I think the role that I found most difficult to understand at first was the role in Skins. When I first got sent that script, I originally thought I was auditioning for the role of Sid. And so I was very confused when they sent me in for Tony because I didn't view myself as that, and I didn't have a great understanding of the character, so it took a fair bit of time to build that. In terms of characters that I can relate to, a lot of my stories, films that I've been in, kind of circulate around that world of a character who's kind of trapped in his own body or his own world, and then through the power of love, essentially is free from that and learns to be himself, or is, you know, woken up to the world around him. So that's probably something that I really relate to in reading scripts. You know, that power and how that can transform someone in freedom. Thank you.
From Girls Got Game, Noelle Pico. What was it like to work on a movie with such a strong female lead? And as an aside, we've been talking about geeky stuff. So for you, what's a geek?
What's a geek?
Yeah.
I think a geek is just someone who's passionate about anything. You know, you can be a geek about anything. It's just someone who's passionate, cares, and has a thirst for knowledge about that subject, no matter what it might be. You can be a geek about anything. And then, in terms of working with Charlize, that was incredible. I've been fortunate to do a couple of movies with her now, and she's very smart. She's very measured and considered. She's also got a cracking sense of humour. Like Filthy, we'd sit there and we have very similar senses of humour, so we'd literally be there up until action, cracking each other up, having a great time, and then suddenly she can switch into a very, very different person at the flick of a hat, and it's just wonderful to be in scenes with her because of that. And I think, you know, kudos to George Miller for putting a really strong female lead at the head of a franchise like that. I think that's something we need to see more of.
From anime.ph, Jillian Imbat.
Hi, good morning.
How are you?
Since we've been talking about comics and X-Men, and you said you love reading books. For my question is, if you were since young, if you're reading since young, what was the first comic book that you have read?
The first comic book I ever read was probably the Beano. You have the Beano over here? Beano or Dennis the Menace? They kind of, yeah. I used to love Dennis the Menace when I was a kid. So Dennis the Menace is probably the first one I ever read. Thank you.
We move on to LilMissWonderWoman.com, Angeline Rodriguez.
Cool name.
This is more of a request really than a question. I grew up watching Skins and about a boy, and you sing quite a bit in it. I was wondering if you could sing for us today.
Can I let you in on a secret? That wasn't me like singing in Skins.
What about a boy?
And About a Boy it was. In About a Boy it was me singing. But yeah, I wasn't actually singing in Skins. That was someone else's voice. and I was just miming along. That goes terrible to destroy that illusion for you. But my voice is terrible. I'm tone deaf, I can't sing.
Prove us wrong. Prove yourself right or wrong. Okay.
No, it would be so embarrassing. It would destroy all the microphones in here. Maybe if I see you out and about later, then we'll sing together.
You know people want it when they start saying sample. That means they want you to do sample, sample. Anyway, let's move on to magneticrose.net, Rise Areta.
Since magneticrose.net is an appreciation of Japanese film culture, I was just curious, since we've been talking a lot about Western pop culture, is there a particular anime that you're fond of and actually want to play a role?
Anime-wise, I really like Akira. I think it's a wonderful story and really powerful stuff, and it, a really great concept behind it. Also, Death Note. I like Death Note a lot. Those would be the main two for me, probably. In terms of ones to me playing, I've never really thought about it because it's never been something that's come to the forefront of my attention or always been an option. So I've never thought about it. But hopefully, at some point, they will. I know Akira has been a movie that they've been trying to develop for a while. So hopefully, at some point, those things will come to life in a strong, powerful way. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you. From solrazo.com is Sol Razo.
Oh, thank you.
Hi, welcome to AsiaPOP Manila. I'm just curious, with that gentle, angelic look of yours, what makes you accept the role of this X-Men? And will we be seeing you, will X-Men Apocalypse be the last that we will be seeing this?
What was the first bit of that question?
With that angelic look, gentle look, what makes you accept the role of this? Is it fun or so hard?
The thing for the role of Beast, it's that two-sided nature to it. It's that sense of him being someone who's very controlled and measured, and smart, but it's suppressing all these feelings essentially, and this power within him. And then to play that, and then also be able to play the complete opposite of someone who transforms into this very powerful, athletic, strong kind of animal. That's something that really appealed to me. And then in terms of playing him more, I would love to play the character more. I can't say and don't know what will happen after Apocalypse at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you. Now it's time to call on Ika Cheng from Heat Cheng Photography.
What's that t-shirt?
Worst heroes ever. It's a suicide squad.
Oh, okay, cool.
Your rival franchise. But welcome to Manila. My question is, a lot of roles that you've played have seen you on the makeup chair. So from R, then Beast, and then we have the war going on. So my question is, what are the pros and cons of going through the whole makeup transformation? Or do you have any particular funny story of staying on the makeup chair for a long time?
Let me think. The pros to having that the artists that create those looks are incredibly talented, and it makes my job a lot easier. With R, with Mad Max, with Beast, all those things. Once you're in those makeups, it's very easy to inhabit the character and transform. The tricky part of it is obviously that a long time in the makeup trailer in the morning, fairly uncomfortable once you're in them, and things like that. But I'm kind of lucky whereby I can still look after myself no matter what the costume is. I have a friend who did a prosthetic makeup, and he couldn't actually go to the toilet on his own. He had to have someone help him. So every time that I think I'm uncomfortable or it's a bit of a tricky day, I think back to him not being able to go to the toilet without someone helping him, and I think like, it's okay. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I can do that, so it's a win. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you so much. That actually wraps up our media session in terms of the Q&A. So I'd like to thank all our media friends for all those insightful questions. Thank you as well.
Salamat. Thank you very much.
For being very candid, open and honest, answering all their questions.
Of course. Thank you so much for coming along. Lovely. I will hopefully see you all again very soon in and around.
Yes. So now that the Q&A part is done, it is now time for everybody to get their photos. You can already take your photos of Nicholas. So what we're going to be doing is we're just going to take the table away, and then from where you are, you could just snap away. He will be standing right in the center.